from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the Path.
And you're listening to Live from the Path. We're coming from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper.
Hello, my name is Mike Foose. It's nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah. I guess I never really do that. Hey, this is... I'm Ben Foose. I'm the host on the show. This is Mike Foose, Dan Hudson, and Big Ron is out tonight.
Yeah.
Doing whatever Big Ron
You know why
does.
we don't do that? Because no one cares about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I don't, maybe somebody does.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Here's think of a soul.
Here's what we got going
Wives don't care.
on the show tonight.
Yeah.
So I think I'd set up some secular versus Solomon. Now, this is awkward, I think, with only two people in the room, but I think we're going to give it a go.
Why would you set yourself up for failure?
Here's
like
what we're going to do. We're going to do a secular Solomon and it'll just go fast.
Okay.
Okay, so secular Solomon is, we're testing your understanding of the wisdom of the world. So when we hear somebody says something, we're like, boy, that seems like the word of the Lord. We want to test that and go, is it? Is it really? And so I'll give you a proverb or a bit of wisdom, and you need to tell me, hey, is that from the Holy Scriptures? And so Solomon, or is it a secular bit of wisdom, comes outside of the Bible, and then we'll kind of talk about whether it's a good bit of wisdom and the country of origin, in case it's nefarious. Oftentimes Russia.
Yeah.
They've infiltrated our proverbs. And so we'll do that. There was a story, an interesting story this week where there's a pastor in Texas who is stepping down. He's not leaving, right, Mike?
No, it's just a pull away from preaching for a while, and the way they phrased it was for
undefined amount of time, though, right?
Yeah, they didn't say how much time it was going to be. But they called it for a time of discipline and development.
Yeah, so this is interesting because we've covered stories like this in the past. We're like, oh man, pastors behaving badly, this really stinks type of stuff. This one's interesting, one, because I'm familiar with this guy. It's Matt Chandler, and I'll be honest, I really like Matt Chandler.
I agree.
He's always been a solid
teacher.
Teacher. Good. I mean, we even disagree on some core bits of theology. I still love this man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they made some moves like at the Village Church there a couple, 3-4 years ago where they were becoming a fairly giant multi-campus site, and they said, I think the Lord's leading us down to be individual churches, and like everything that you would see someone grasping for power and fame, they kind of retreated from and went back down to communities. And so anyway, yeah, in the room, I still listen to his sermons. Like nothing changed for me as of today, so
generally we like this dude. And so he would have been a guy where I just said, I just don't think so. I don't think anything like that would ever happen to this dude. Some people can handle bigger organizations like this. Right. And we'll read a little bit of the article. So I'll be honest, my heart sank a little bit. I saw an article and it said that he's stepping away from preaching for some sort of inappropriate relationship. And then I read it and I kind of shared it with the fellas, and I'm like, hey, the details are super important here.
Yeah.
And so I think we want to look at this. We don't need to get caught up in some of how the church is reacting, maybe just a little, but I think we want to talk about then what are the boundaries of our relationships with people? What are the risks we run in crossing lines in a protection of them, of ourselves, and our other relationships?
And maybe a quick understanding of how the Bible looks at leadership of God's people, right? Like what the standard of living and of taking care of other people that God, he puts a little bit higher onus on, and you're to know that before you get into that.
Yeah, because interestingly, his wife and the other person's husband were completely fine.
Right.
That nobody was mad.
Yeah, that's
except
right.
for a friend.
Yes,
but we'll pull that out.
Yeah. We'll talk through that. So secular Solomon, we'll talk about that. Also, just a quick follow up. Last week there was an article from a guy. Eric Lerner, I think was the guy's name, and it was about, hey, do we need to rethink the Big Bang in light of what we're finding from this space telescope? And Dan and I were talking because Dan was posting some clips from the show, and it was like, subsequent to our conversation, a few different articles. There were probably a ton. I only saw a few, and it was like, hey man, this guy's bonkos. There's nothing wrong with the Big Bang, and we still, it's still tight. And then I saw kind of an article that's about mid-ground, and it's like, well, it's evolving as science should. And so I got to thinking back of how we talked about this. I think we came to the conclusion that's like, hey man, release the clip. I don't. If you go back and listen to last week's show, I frankly I agree again with our perspective on it. It was, look, we should, anything that feels like it's bigger than us, and like, hey man, if you don't look at the universe and go, this is beyond me, this is bigger than me, there's obviously a whole slew of things that we don't understand, that we're doing our very best to guess and test theories and think, oh, we think this works out. I think the same thing about how we think about the existence of a God. But like, if you don't approach either of those two things with a major amount of humility, then there's an arrogance to thinking that you've got either one of those figured out.
Yeah, considering none of us were there.
Yeah, you weren't there.
Right.
We learn a new thing every day. We just now got enough technology to get a little bit out to start taking pictures and going, well, hot dang, I had no idea.
Yeah,
You know how you understand something when you can recreate it, right? So when you say, hey, I know how to make French toast, and when you can go home and like make it and have served to somebody, they're like, yes sir, that's definitely French toast. And so like some of these things to be wary of is like, we understand completely how the universe was made. Well, go ahead and fire one out. Go ahead and make yourself a planet. Let me see what it looks like. Oh, we can't do that. There's not enough blah, blah, blah. We're like, well, what's the blah, blah, blah we're missing?
Right. And so, which is like, this is not to say, I think the right level of humility goes, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm interested. And that's a cool theory. And it may be right, but I don't have any idea. And we should always hold those things not so tight, where it starts to bind the rest of the world and the rest of how we, like, you don't create a blindness with your arrogance. Just recognize the right place of humility and like creation of the world, how big the world is, how fast it's moving, and all these other things. Like I trust humility way more than I trust confidence, because like, this is not an appropriate place to be so certain. You're wrong in some way or another. And so, anyway, I just, because I say that out loud just so you know, like, we hesitated. I thought, like, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to unnecessarily be wrong and like pull the stuff back and cause a rub between, people would go, oh, those guys love Jesus. They're also stupid and scientifically ignorant. But like, all we were calling for was a humility, and frankly, I agree with it still.
Because whether there's a big bang or not, it doesn't shake my faith one way or another. I'm my faith in God is secure either way.
Yeah, agreed. And
he can do what he wants.
That's right. And I think there's nothing about, in case you're someone who goes, well, then doesn't that fly in the face of the Scripture? From my perspective, it does not.
Yeah.
I don't. The Bible is not. It's purporting to tell a specific story in a specific way. It doesn't claim to be either a newspaper or a science textbook, and so you got to let it live and breathe a little bit. It's not to say that there aren't very simple ways of which God could have gone about something, but like, nothing that I've heard coming out of science over the last X number of centuries causes me to go, well, shoot, we got to throw the whole thing out. Because here's the reality, is that like, based upon the biblical evidence of the existence of Jesus, life, death, crucifixion, and resurrection of Jesus, and people's reaction to those events to their own peril, see the case for Christ, plus like just the types of things that we're still seeing today. We're talking about changes in people's lives. We're talking about, miracle stuff, that kind of thing going on, just the faithfulness of God in my life and people around me. And frankly, those stories extend all over the world. There's no boundary to this. You can find this. There's a guy, Craig Keener, who wrote a really cool book. And this is a dude who's like was skeptical on how do we think about miracles today. And the dude just got, example after example after example, just documenting this stuff. And so here's the thing. If all that matches up with what Scripture tells me is true, and I'm seeing it in my life, then I have no reason not to believe the foundation of those things is also true. I just am open into what way it was true. And frankly, that was something that even the religious folks of Jesus's day missed Jesus, because they had a specific way of which they thought something would be true. Jesus comes along, does the things that he does, and he pays off on all these promises that God made over the last 2,000 years before that, but they missed it because they had too narrow of a view on how God would do things. And so, like, I just don't want to be that arrogant. I don't want to be in a place where I go, well, God has to do this thing in this way, and that's the only way I'll take it, when like there's clear evidence that people missed the king who came to rescue them because they boxed themselves too far in some sort of human worldview, Okay. All right, so let's do that. Let's check this Matt Chandler article. So I'll read this a little. They had to pick. Doggone it! This is the articles from Christianity Today, and they got this picture of him doing like a oh my type of. I mean, we're not a scandal rag, all right? We can pull ourselves together.
I mean, Christianity Today is sometimes a scandal rag.
That's true. The Village Church pastor Matt Chandler announced on Sunday that he had an inappropriate online relationship with a woman and is taking an indefinite leave of absence from preaching and teaching. So first thing I thought of was, crap. He's like sending pictures of his, lower meridian or something like. And I thought, doggone it anyway.
I'd pay probably $3 not to know the inner workings of Ben's mind starting 15 seconds ago.
That isn't what you thought?
No.
Oh. Well, hot dang.
I went a whole different direction too.
Okay.
I thought it was like, hey, let's meet for dinner.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Either way,
Dan Whitmore, 1950s.
Well,
he's. I have a lot of respect for the guy.
Yeah, right. Meet me at the Soda Jerk.
Okay.
Groovy.
And then it says the relationship was not sexual or romantic, and so I kind of stopped there and I go, okay, I mean, what is he trying to do? Get discounts on soda, for the church?
Once again,
rectory.
Now it's up to like $6 I'd pay not to hear such ridiculous thoughts.
Pictures of the elbow.
It said,
it looks like a butt. Anybody used to do that? Put your elbow together and take a picture of the crease that looks like a butt.
Guess what this is?
Crap! Now I'm going to get taken away from the pastorate.
I'm gonna send it to my wife. I'll do it later. I had my crease out at the studio. That's going on a shirt.
Gross.
Okay. Okay, but it says the relationship was not sexual or romantic, Chandler told his church, but the elders believed the frequent and familiar direct messages exchanged over Instagram were unguarded and unwise and revealed something unhealthy in me. Chandler said he agreed with their assessment and was grateful for the spiritual oversight. He says, we cannot be a church where anyone is above the scriptures and above the high heavenly call into Christ Jesus. Chandler said, the word of God holds me to a certain standard, and I fell short. So now here's what's super interesting to me, because hold on, let me get into a little bit more of the detail here. For Chandler, the red flag came several months ago when a woman approached him in the foyer of the village church with concerns about how he was communicating with a friend of hers. He told the congregation he didn't think he'd done anything wrong, and the DMing was not a secret. His wife knew, the woman's husband knew, and yet the woman who approached Chandler did not think the online exchanges were appropriate. Chandler, who has been critical of social media's impact on pastors, has 134,000 followers. Nobody cares. According to Chandler, he found the confrontation disorienting and immediately informed another senior pastor and an elder at the church. They reviewed the direct messages and decided they were concerning. The church said in an online statement that it also hired a law firm to review Chandler's use of social media, including direct messages, as well as his phone, text, and emails. The firm, which has not been named, concluded that Chandler violated the church's social media use policy. He said it was that our conversations were unguarded and unwise, and because I don't ever want there to be any secrets between us, the concerns were really about frequency and familiarity. We believe in brother-sister relationships here, and yet there was a frequency that moved past that, and there was a familiarity that played itself out in coarse and foolish joking. It's unbefitting to someone in my position. So, I don't know, the reactions to this, for me, I'll be honest, a part of me thought, are they overreacting?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay to have friends.
It is. And so, but there was also part of me that, just think of how many people have just taken a whiz on God's good name with pastors believing they can do whatever they want, act hypocritically, act foolishly, outside of what God is called, not only called his people to, but the higher calling of those who even represent that they are leading God's people. And I thought, what kind of awesome dude, and has some sort of conversation where someone accuses him of something and he literally had no idea or concern that this was bad, and yet immediately goes to another guy and goes, we should check this out in case I'm wrong.
Uh-huh. I mean, that I can see. That's okay, maybe there's a blind spot.
That's awesome.
Maybe, yeah.
It's different than the way that, the church has been known to react to
Right.
internal problem.
Every other sin wagon is
cover it
like
up,
going
just
about
pretend it
this.
didn't happen.
You are hiding it, manipulating people, pressuring people. Like, I'm the pastor. Like, shut up with that stuff. And this dude goes, like, how many times? I don't know, Dan. Maybe this happened to you. Like, people who are like, hey, I think you're doing something wrong, or I'm concerned about behavior, and I think about it, I'm like,
we call that Tuesday.
Right.
I mean,
right. Yeah. Someone's got some sort of critique. Actually, I think I taught here at Pathway once, and I was talking about, I used the word crap.
Oh, yeah.
And someone was real piped up about it, like long email about it. And like, it was in the context of, I was talking about how unimportant, we had just put a building together. And I was talking about how unimportant all of that is relative to don't get comfortable in here. Like, and I am like, I like doing this, and we bought all this crap at an auction. And I'm like pointing around. I thought nothing of it, just not a thing. And this lady was just real fired up about it. And I thought, like, I asked around, like, did I overstep? And we're like, probably not. She's probably just overreacting. But so like, but again, reaction one, dude doesn't go, it's a nothing burger. It's just another complainer. He finds someone who holds him accountable and goes, check it out.
And they agree. And they don't just agree to, like, be his friend and go, man, don't worry about it. Appreciate you trying to do the integrity thing here. But he's like, no, yeah, we'll look into it. And then, like, full-fledged looks into it and then comes back and goes, you know what? You might have crossed a little bit of a line.
Right. And
but a law firm confirmed that. Yeah, it was a little too many, too often.
I bet what the law firm...
You know this person too well.
Because they didn't give out a ton of detail, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think it was because they didn't want to expose the person that
on the other side of it.
And be completely objective. These are lawyers.
Yeah, right. And so they hired it, and all that. I bet the law firm's job was to say, what is your stated social media policy or policy for elders? Mm-hmm. Did this conversation cross it? And that's what they were confirming or denying. Yeah. And so, like, So broad strokes. One, like when we're talking about leaders in God's church, of God's people, like pastors and elders, and Ben's been talking about this a little bit last couple of weeks, but like. Eldership is not a job; it's just what you are, right? And so, like, this is when they say the Bible will talk about what a qualification for an elder is, and it's like a husband of one wife, and he supports his family, and like he leads people in Christ, he lives honestly, and just that's a broad summarization. But like either way, like you're held to a higher standard. Like God says, look, if you feel like you are going to take a leadership role in shepherding my flock, just know that I'm holding you accountable for what you tell them, the example that you set for them, and how you live your own life as an example for other people to look at. I'm going to hold you to that, right? And so this is what's coming up here, is what they're talking about is there's a little bit when they say, look, it wasn't romantic or intimate, and we're like, whew, okay, it's not a sex scandal, like that's solid, we dodged one. But like he's like, the relationship between me and another woman, there were messages that were very frequent and very familiar. And this is where like some of our church tradition stuff I think is going to come in, right? Because like even guys like Mike Pence took a lot of crap in the media for like saying, look, I don't have meals with just me and another woman. Yeah. And this is kind of along those lines, right? Like where the rest of the world goes, hey, it's really not a problem if you have coarse joking, and we'll say coarse is probably like. They don't tell you what the messages are, but like biblically we look at coarse as maybe slightly inappropriate, or jokes or like whatever. So like overall, we would say a coarse joking between a man and a woman is not really a problem. The world would say that, and like the more traditional sense would go, look, you're crossing into areas of which they're kind of meant for your spouse, right? Anything of like a sexual nature, or even half joking about it, that all kind of belongs to your spouse, and maybe it's best to be left there.
Right. It just introduces concepts and things that put images in your mind, put thoughts in your mind in the surroundings of people who are not your spouse, and so that like it's just something you protect.
Yeah.
And so right. And so as a higher standard, the question is like, are you acting a good example to people, or are you acting outside of those bounds? And so, I guess as you roll it up and think about it, is it appropriate to hold a guy like this to a really high standard? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And like, but here's, I do wonder that they taken this step, even if it's I don't know how temporary it is, right? But as a demonstration of this is what it looks like for a guy to go, I asked to be held accountable. I'm willing to follow through with this. I'm willing, because like he didn't just open up his direct messages. He's like, check my text, check my email.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding anything here, because it is so important that God's leaders specifically, but like God's people act with integrity, because we so stink at it. So
I don't. So we talk often about building fences around.
Yep.
There's a principle. God says, don't have an adultery, right? Or don't look lustfully at a woman. And, that's the principle right there. We don't want him to have an affair.
Yep.
So they built this fences upon fences around that. Like, if you can't cross this fence, then you're not going to commit adultery.
Yeah,
so they have so many fences built. Like the guy stepped down because he did something that wasn't inappropriate, but could be if you let it go.
Yes.
I mean, it's not.
I kind of agree. With Dan.
We're human beings. We get to have relationships. I mean, they're basically saying don't have any friends that are women. Don't communicate other than strictly business. You know, did you get the letterhead?
Yeah, and
yes.
that's here's the thing: is like I've always struggled with that a little bit, because like it's like saying that I can only love, like in a Christian way, I can only love half the population. Yeah. Everybody else comes up and says, hey, like if a woman were, let's say my age and no connection to me at all, and says like, can you please tell me about Jesus? And I go, you're gonna have to talk to my wife, and then turn and run away.
I was gonna say, like, I'm already awkward around women because I want to make sure I already have my boundaries. Like, I'm just not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
And to think, well, I can't even send a haha, this is funny, because you're a human being, and we.
Yeah.
And actually,
I respect it, but at the same time, I don't agree with it.
And I think sometimes this is so hard because it's going a different direction than I thought it was going to go. But like sometimes we overload our young men with this same principle to the point where like they can't talk to anybody.
Can't look them in the eye. Can't have a conversation.
Yeah, like they're just freaked out. They're like, I don't want to accidentally do whatever, and you're like, holy cow! Like, can we? The whole goal, right? The whole goal of what God is, I think, trying to refine out of men is like the culture looks like teaches men to look at women as a sexual object, right? I want to be able to look at a woman as not that. That's how I want to look at my wife that way. I want to look at every other woman as a reflection of God and something that I have easy love for, right? Like easy conversation and easy whatever for, and like their physical attractiveness is not the first thing that overcomes me. That is what I think God is trying to refine in dudes, not like don't look at them, don't talk to them, blah, blah, you know what I'm saying?
It sexualizes a woman. It treats her as an object when your primary description of her is as a risk. Mm-hmm. That sucks.
I mean, the Apostle Paul spoke with Lydia down by the river and then baptized her.
Yeah,
like,
right.
What was he doing?
Right.
That dude just stepped down. It's like, no, he was telling her about Jesus.
When he gives the letter to Romans to Phoebe to go take there and read to them, like I'm sure they discussed.
I'll bet you.
She goes, here's how you handle questions, Phoebe.
Now, so like on the other side of that, do we feel like it's a good idea to put protections in? Of course I do.
Yeah.
Of course I think that, right? And like I think that especially when it surrounds like lead pastors. The example I thought of is like Obama's a smoker, right? And so like, is it okay if Obama smokes cigarettes? Yeah, I don't care, whatever, if he wants to be a smoker, right? Now, when he becomes president, and we teach our kids, like in our social studies classes, to revere our president as our commander, is it different now that he smokes? We feel that way. Yeah. Like, we were like, can you not do that, like, in front of cameras or whatever? Like, at least hide it, because we don't want our kids thinking that we respect you so much, and now it's okay. We don't want them smoking in emulation of you, right? That's kind of, if I were going to take a non-Christian perspective, like that's kind of how we feel about the pastorate, right? That's kind of how we look at Matt, where he's like, is this really that big of a deal? No, but it would. But
that's an extreme step, though.
I kind of feel that it is.
Yeah.
I feel good about their reaction to it. I think they're falling on a sword, is what I feel like.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to do. Like, make an example out of this. What happens when this stuff comes up? Although it probably isn't that big of a deal.
I mean, I want to know, like, the last time he went to a mall, shopping mall, like 14 years ago, whenever malls were cool. And he walked by the what's the store with the naked women on it? The
Victoria's Secret.
Victoria's Secret.
I wouldn't know.
Did he look twice? Yeah, exactly. I've never heard of such
I
a
don't
thing.
go to places like
Did he
that.
look twice because he needs to resign? I mean,
That's right.
even if they like, what was that? Like, whoa, that is what I thought it was. Oh, I'm going to the candy store over here instead.
It's-
Yeah. So I think maybe, and this is inappropriate because it feels like I'm too far separated from this, but like I would have liked to see the whole process go exactly how it went, and then he not step down.
Yeah, just say, hey, this was too close.
Yeah, I recognize. We put a guard in. That's what these are for. Nothing happened that shouldn't have happened, but like I want you to know we went through the process so that you can trust that like we are holding ourselves to a higher standard.
And we excommunicated her from the church.
That's right.
Wait, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got to feel awkward in this whole thing, too.
And that's the thing is they said that like she agreed to be part of the investigation. She was open about it. They said like we're not naming her because she's asked to be private, but if she decides she wants to come out and talk about it, she gets to completely do that. We haven't made her sign like a non-disclosure or anything. Like the ball's completely in her court, and I think the way they're handling it is admirable. Actually,
yeah,
but I feel like
the outcome is just not.
The outcome seems more for show, and I know. And that's not. And I don't believe them to be that way. That's correct.
Of the pastor who's out there picking up girls at the bar, taking them to the hotel,
exactly,
at their little conference they're holding. But we don't want to be that.
Which sometimes
so swing the other way.
Like sometimes you got your kids in a group of friends, and like you make an example out of your kid that's a little bit harsher, because you're tired of all the kids acting foolishly, and so they get a sense of. I mean, that's not right. I've done it.
Yeah.
But it's not. It succumbs to as opposed to treating it maybe as evenly as they should have. I agree with Mike. There's a bit of a posturing in there, and even if it's, hey, we would default to caution, which I understand, but like when it comes down to it, we should still deal with things as it lies and not posture for anything. If the right line is. Maybe he even says it out loud and said it's just a caution. It's just and brings it to their attention because it provides confidence in people that like everything that we preach about, I'm not a hypocrite about. People can come to me. There is a process for people to look at it. My life is an open book because I'm taking responsibility to help lead this church. Like I would have still done everything up until the point of coming to the decision that says you should not preach or teach for a while. And now. Whatever, they didn't say the contents of the thing. Maybe,
that's true. The thing could come out like they're like maybe they're covering up the big seedy details and whatever, and we've been fooled. But like, it's not the vibe that I generally get out of that camp, and so like, it's just maybe what's our caution here? Our caution is to is just be careful that we're not becoming pharisaical about our own stuff here, right? Like I have fences in my own life where I'm like, I set up a fence here and a fence here, and I got 2 layers of fences because I'm weak enough to stumble into trouble. And so I set up a fence, so I bop into the fence, And so but I don't get rebuked because I bopped the fence. The fence did its job. Right. And I'm thankful and grateful for the fence. And then I head back into the direction I actually want to be. And so this feels like to me that he ran into a fence, and instead of going, good, the fence did its job.
Yeah. Thank
you for the reminder. I'm going back to green pastures where I belong, and now we're mad because you bump into a fence. And we as humans can't pull that off. Right. Like if you're going to get in trouble for even hitting your own safeguards, that's tough,
I mean, so what's he going to do when the homeschool mother shows up and says, I'm really offended you don't make your own clothing and you're not wearing denim?
Yes, I love denim. It's the Lord's fabric.
I mean, does that mean he should step down? I don't know. I struggle. At the same time, I believe in complete integrity.
Correct.
And so, yeah.
It's just it's an interesting thing to think about. And it did hit close to home. Like we are so used to talking about pastors who were caught dead guilty, and really what had happened is they had covered it up for 20 years.
Yeah.
And this has gone the exact opposite way, and it feels like their reactions all seem to be what we call for biblically, right? Like, yeah, own up to the truth, live with some integrity, and apologize, and whatever. I feel like the reaction's a little harsh, But then again, I guess we didn't read the messages. So, overall, we're not trying to get into the church's business.
Oh, no.
God's handling that situation. They're praying through it as a community. I'm sure it's all fine. It's not a judgment on them or the pastor or the woman that reported it. All that is fine. It's more just us trying to think out loud, right? Just to make sure that we're not. This is an odd story of a pastor, right? It's just an odd story because it feels like they're reacting to it appropriately. We just want to make sure that we're not creating swords to fall on just to appease the masses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Hey, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe you got a reaction to that story one way or the other. You can give us a call or a text on the Live from the Path complaint line. That's 515-517-0085. That's the Bob Eisenhower Live from the Path complaint line, 515-517-0085. And I regret to inform you that not one person sent a text to the word mullet to that complaint line, which means I did not have to produce a picture of last week's guest, Todd Gordon, in said haircut and distribute out to the masses.
That would have been gold.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I was going to ask for it anyway, but I feel like I didn't have any justification for it since no one sent a text.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, yeah, I'm gonna extend that for just one more week. One more week, the word mullet, then I'll know that you want a picture of Todd Gordon from last week with what would that have been? Was it 80s? Early 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah,
70s.
70s, early 80s.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's when Todd's a good-looking fella, but if you want to know what he looked like, I'm not sure if I'd call it his prime, but
Nope.
he had long flowing locks. So anyway, you text mullet to 515-517-0085, and you text mullet twice in the same text. I may even include a picture of Dan with some real shorty basketball shorts that I've seen going around.
Yikes.
It's on the net. You can search for it yourself, but
I might have to
Dan's
step
shorty
down if those
basketball
better
shorts
get out.
may not get what you're
Here's
after.
the thing, is that might be too coarse for the public, Ben.
I'm saying exactly.
I don't know if you want to do that.
If you're a woman, just
That
say it ahead of
plan's
time.
a little racy.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, yeah. We were gonna do secular Solomon.
Are you going to rebut that telescope article, or is it not worth going through?
No, yeah, it's not worth going through. I think I just would reassert that let's walk in humility on this thing, on all these things. Just know where your limits are as a human.
I got to move if we're doing Solomon, so I don't see the answers.
Okay, yeah. You better get over there. Okay.
I don't want you cheating.
And I would, too. I like integrity.
I don't have a fence there.
Talk to me. Hey,
Okay.
man, this chair's comfortable.
Okay, Mike, you can hear everything?
What do you mean, can I hear everything? I'm in
Yeah.
the same room as you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm the only guy in headphones. I forget that. Sorry.
What the heck?
I don't know how to behave in front of people. People make me nervous. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to make this thing happen.
And now, for America's fastest growing game show, Secular or Solomon?
Hey, you have stumbled onto America's fastest growing internet game show, asterisk completely unproven. This is Secular versus Solomon.
Yeah. I'm the full-time winner of this game.
What do you mean, the full-time winner of this game?
Yeah. No one's ever claimed that before. I figured it's irrefutable.
Okay, got it. Here's the crux of the game. So I'm going to give you a bit of wisdom. And the goal, like I said, is to sort out what is biblical wisdom and what is coming from other parts potentially nefarious folks. I usually use the example of Ben Franklin. Just because Ben Franklin said it doesn't mean that the Lord agreed. Like, God helps those who help themselves. That's not a biblical reference. That's a Ben Franklin. And so, can we see where these types of things are coming up? And, maybe just make sure they actually align with what the good and perfect thing that the Lord has created. Okay. You guys ready? We're going to start with Dan.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Secular versus Solomon. A drowning man is not troubled by rain. A drowning man is not troubled by rain. Secular or Solomon? Dan Hudson.
I'm going to call that a secular bit of wisdom. And I need a country, don't I? Oh boy, rain, a trouble.
Rain and donkeys.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Kenya. They have a rainy season there, and that can cause trouble. So I'm gonna go Kenya.
Okay, could be the Kenyans. Mike, a drowning man is not troubled by rain.
Yeah, that's definitely secular. And I would say, what'd you go with, Dan? Kenya?
Kenya.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. Yeah. London. England. Give me England for a country. They get the rains.
Okay, all right. We've got a option of two seculars and Kenya and England. A drowning man is not troubled by rain. It is indeed secular Iran.
Funny.
Iran.
It's an Iranian proverb.
I don't think of a lot of rain or drowning in Iran.
Yep. Maybe that's something they dream about. And they came up with. And they said, "Look, if I were a man drowning, I would not bother with the rain."
I suppose so. You make things up if you've not seen it.
Yeah. Is this a true proverb? A drowning man is not troubled by rain.
No. Well, I don't know. The drowning part, I suppose, makes a difference.
I think he's preoccupied with death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for it's rainy or sunny, or doesn't matter if you're drowning.
What would be a more tangible comparison? Like how might you apply this in your own existence? Like, maybe this isn't this is the first thing that popped into my mind. But let's say your wife yells at you all the time.
Okay, got it.
Hates your guts. Says all kinds of mean things to you. If she then says one more mean thing, you're like, meh.
Yeah, because
I'm not troubled by this.
The thing that is continuing to come out to is already causing your destruction.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't care. What? We'll just take on another one. Doesn't matter.
Filing for bankruptcy and you get another bill in the mail, you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
I already owe $40,000. What's this? Yeah.
Actually, I feel that way about any dollar amount over $200. It's all funny money to me after that.
This is
$200 hits my wallet hard. I'm like, oh man, that's a killer. Someone's like, you owe me $8,000. I'm like, 8,000. Okay.
somebody gives you $10,000 for your college loan, you're like, whatever.
Yeah, this ought to tear it up.
Right. That's minus 10 from 80,000 I wasn't going to pay to begin with.
Whatever.
Fantastic.
Don't worry, the government will cover it. We're good.
Can I still defer the other 70 like I have been? Okay. Excellent. Roll up the interest, boys. All right. Secular or Solomon, a monkey never thinks her baby's ugly.
This is definitely not Solomon.
A monkey, this could be biblical wisdom. A monkey never thinks her baby's ugly. Secular or Solomon? Mike?
I'm going to go with secular and Belize, a Belizean proverb.
Okay. Yeah. There's a bunch of adoring baby mama monkeys.
Yeah.
In Belize. Dan?
Baby mama. I'm going to go secular, and I'm going to say the San Diego Zoo, but I don't think I can do that.
That's not a country,
It's
Dan.
big. It's big, though.
It's not a country. I know it's very large.
So I'll go India.
Okay. India. Okay. You went with the giant country anyway.
That was a good one. I just wish I had said India. Belize is not popular.
Okay. For a penalty of 5 points, you can change to a different country, Mike.
No, I won't take that.
Okay. You stay. Okay. It's not worth it. A monkey never thinks her baby's ugly. It is secular Haiti.
Dang.
Secular Haiti.
I was in the right part of the world.
You think that's really true?
Yeah.
Did we talk about that story about that monkey that grabbed somebody's baby and threw it out the window?
No.
Did we? That was a legit story. I saw it in the news. I thought it was a joke article, but like monkeys were overtaking somewhere in the world. I don't. It seems India was right, but somewhere in the world, this place,
New York. I've seen the movie.
Okay, he's just overrun by monkeys, not apes.
Oh.
If it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey.
Okay.
Even if it has a monkey kind of shape. If it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey. If it doesn't have a tail, it's not a monkey. It's an ape. Anyway, the place is overrun by monkeys, and they go into this dude, and the dude, like the baby's in the crib or whatever. Dude goes to grab the baby, somehow like drops the baby. Monkey picks it up and immediately chucks it out a 2-story window.
What?
And the baby dies.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What was a monkey doing in there anyway?
They're terrorizing the town. Wow. Freaking monkeys overrunning the place.
That is awful.
Yeah. Isn't that terrible? I don't know how you hear that guy.
I mean,
it feels way out of your control, but also way within your control.
My suspicious mind says, how do we know the dad didn't throw the baby out? Because it was crying.
And he just said, I was overrun by monkeys. I suppose, because monkeys are tricky. You could get away with all kinds of stuff in a country that's overrun by monkeys.
Yeah, monkey did it.
Yeah. Did you run your car into the tree like a drunken fool? No.
Where'd you get them jewels? A monkey dropped it
Monkey
off.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you get that ATM cash? Yeah, monkey.
Yeah, talk to Abu.
Yeah.
Okay, secular or Solomon?
Hey, why are you wearing that big yellow hat? Monkey.
Just curious.
Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out.
Yeah.
Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. Secular Solomon, Dan.
That is Solomon, Proverbs 12:7.
Ooh, Dan says Proverbs 12:7. He's gone in. He's gone all in, Mike, to give a chapter and verse.
No.
Secular Solomon.
No, that's the way. That's how you walk in the proud and arrogant, Dan. the humble man claims to not know the verse and chapter and just goes, that is from definitely Solomon.
Okay, Solomon. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out. That is indeed Solomon, Proverbs 10:9.
Oh, so close.
Proverbs 10:9.
Yeah, here's the thing, is like that is one of the glorious byproducts of trusting Jesus with your life, is you are not afraid that you are going to be found out of doing just about anything.
That's true.
True.
And it is like, look, people talk about, like we always say there's freedom in Christ. That is a major portion of that. Is the freedom is like you don't have to be aware of a story you've told or a lie that you're trying to think or a thing that you're hiding, because you're not doing any of that.
Right.
Right? You're
Right.
living in integrity, and you're like your yes is yes, your no is no. You can be trusted with your word. If you tell your wife you're going to the store, you went to the store. You don't claim to work late when you're not, so you can go drink some beer with your buddies. If you're going to go drink beer with your buddies, you call your wife and say, I'm going to go drink beer with my buddies, right? Like, you don't have to do any of that.
Right. Yep. That's right. That's right. And like that's earlier in this week, like I think we've given the example before as you think about some people react to things that God would say, like the Bible would say. God would tell you, hey man, don't do these types of things. And we're like, God is handcuffing me. But like, you would never walk out on that glass bridge at the Grand Canyon and curse the railing. You would be like, look at how I get to walk out and enjoy this thing that otherwise I would never be able to do, but I get to explore it safely within the bounds of not destroying myself in the process. Mm-hmm. You don't curse the railing. And like God's you call them laws, but like God's description of what he created good to look like are the handrails. Okay, they're the things that allow you to live freely, to explore without destroying yourself. And anytime you reject those and go, yeah, but I think I want to do this, it's like you taking like a little bit of a screwdriver to one of the screws in the handrail and go, well, I hope this isn't the one that destroys me, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah,
Right.
People like, I deserve to live more free. These handrails are holding me back.
Right.
From falling to your doom.
Right.
You know, they're like, yeah, that's what I deserve. Like, well, deserve's a weird word, but okay.
Right. You may, and whatever, God will let you take the rails off if you want to. You don't have to follow them. But like, if there is a God and what he's created is good and he can be trusted to say what is good, then, I mean, bless the handrails that showed up that kept you from destroying yourself.
Hence
I
the
visited-
proverb, don't go off the rails.
Exactly, right. I visited a crisis pregnancy place this past week, and they were talking about they do all these tests for STDs, and he's like, you know what an STD is? Well, yeah, I'm not like completely ignorant.
Hey, Nerdenheimer.
So he named off all the different sexually transmitted.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
Well, you don't
Just in
say.
case you don't know.
I thought that was a side dish in an Italian restaurant.
But it was kind of comforting to think I've never in my life had to worry about that.
Right?
I mean, I've never, I have never thought I better get tested because I've never been with anyone else.
Right.
I mean, that's that handrail, it's.
That is the thing, is like people look at it as like some kind of gloating, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
no.
I'm not afraid at all of a woman calling me up and going, by the way, I had your son 13 years ago.
Right.
It's never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ever.
Right.
I don't
And, like,
know how you did that, but
People are like worried about this. Like it turns out this and this happened, or my past is going to catch up with me. And like,
Right.
I mean, here's the thing: is like some people have legit past, and like it happens, and
Right,
God
right.
redeems, and it's all good. But like, since that time that Christ got a hold of you, you walked in freedom, and
Yep.
it's awesome.
Yeah. No one's ever going to call and go, hey, Ben, I just wanted to let you know I have gonorrhea and you should get tested. And I go, does it come from chocolate milk? Because I just don't see a path here. If you can get it from that, then I probably have it.
I could be in trouble.
All right, secular or Solomon. With his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor, but by knowledge, the righteous are delivered. With his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor, but by knowledge, the righteous are delivered. Secular or Solomon, Mike.
That's definitely Solomon, but it's the parts of Solomon that I don't understand.
Oh, we don't follow it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not against it, but I just read it and go, this must apply to smarter people, because I ain't taking it in.
It's not hitting me. It's not hitting me right. Dan,
These
secular
people that
Solomon.
need the wisdom. It is Solomon.
Okay. He says, with his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor, but by knowledge, the righteous are delivered. That is indeed Solomon, Proverbs 11:9.
You weren't going to take a guess on that one,
I was
Lamech?
going to say 11-9.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, there we go.
That would have impressed you.
Here we go. Secular or Solomon. This one's for Dan. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. Secular or Solomon, Dan?
That sounds a little Solomon to me. I could see. I'm going to say Solomon.
Okay. Dan says sniffs enough like.
9-12.
Okay, probably. He treads in the water. He's got his paper trunks on. He says, I'm going to give it a go. Mike.
I'd say that's ecclesiastical Solomon.
I don't think you're allowed to say ecclesiasticals on the internet.
Ecclesiastes. It's in Ecclesiastes.
You may need to step
Doggone it, if both of those tenses match up with testicles.
You may need to step away from the show for a while.
Anxiety. That's a coarse joke. Doggone it anyway.
Nope.
Is there a different standard for internet radio hosts?
I'll be here alone next week.
It's like, and welcome to the show. I'm the only man who didn't say testicles. Doggone!
And then it switches over to that multicolored screen. It's just the doofuses then.
Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. It is Solomon, Proverbs 12:25. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him, but a good word makes him glad. I mean, I suppose it's talking. This is where there could be 50 ways of taking this in, I think. But I think the connection, if you say the anxiousness feels internal and weighs him down, there's the external expressions, good word, like maybe can shake him out of it, where you're not so, it's not internally focused and weight, but like someone coming on with a bit of encouragement can turn things around.
Yeah.
I think that's the intent of it, which is, I saw this clip on the internet this week, and it was about a guy who worked at two hotels. One was, I don't, it was like a famous hotel. I don't remember which one it was. And then he worked at a second one, and he said, he was this coffee dude at one of the hotels, and the guy was asking him, hey, what do you like your job? And the guy's like, I love it. I just love my job. And like that takes you aback. A guy slinging coffee at a hotel, you're like, really? Tell me more about it. And he said he loved his job because he said the managers, and like not even just his own direct manager, but like any manager in the place, like often, multiple times a day, would come by and just go, hey man, just want to check in, how's it going? Is there anything I can do to help you with what you're working on? Anything that I can get for you, anything I can make what you're doing, like help you achieve the stuff that you're trying to get done today or something like that. And he goes, again, like it's not just my boss. It could be anybody around there. He goes, I also work at this other hotel, and like that one I just put my head down and try to get through the day because like those guys are just constantly pushing numbers, pushing time, trying to get as much kind of value and service out of you. And like if just listen to this guy talk about it, it's just like I know. Is it justified in hotel number 2 for a guy who managed you to try to make sure that the company's getting as much value out of the time you're in there? Okay, yeah, sure. But like the question is do you get as much value out of a guy who's just put his head down and just kind of crank away at stuff so he can get out of there with the paycheck you promised him, or a dude that loves what he does, who's genuinely excited to be there? And like it just reminded me that I think there's always a fear that when you switch to your focus on building people up and calling them up to right behavior and good standards and good and like good measures, as opposed to constantly reminding them and calling them down about how much they stink for not meeting those things. Like, I know I said this last week about husbands and wives, but it made me think that I think this is even more universally true, that people tend to live down to how you treat them. And so I think your kids will live up if you convince them, if you treat them like they are people who can change the world and people who are capable of doing good and righteous things. They will live up to that. It may take a while, but doing that also means that like some of the times when you want to go, I cannot believe you did just such a crappy job in here again. Instead of saying that, you get to say something different. You go and you get to offer to help them do it, because obviously if they're not doing it right, you can either chastise them into doing it better, or you can say, look, let me help you. let's get this thing tucked up looking great. And then they get to see what you did. And then they got the sense that someone wasn't just hosed off and disappointed in them. It's someone who came along and said, instead of chastising them, pointed them to what it looks like. And you're going to do that over and over and over again, but like it will rub off. And like I think there's an underlying worry in some people that like it won't work. Sometimes you just got to lay the hammer down. And like I'm not a super softy. I just think that you get more out of folks. People will live up and stay up at those types of things if you encourage them up to it way better than if you remind them just how much they suck all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, Solomon's right. A good word makes him glad and releases anxiety. Then they're not worried about you coming around a corner.
True.
I've had relationships like that. There's been times my marriage is like that. It's like I've been cleaning something. I'm like, oh, my wife don't come around the corner. She's going to say something. And I probably didn't do this right. And you just feel like you're just, man. And so anyway, Solomon's got it. Secular Solomon, slipper ground does not recognize a king.
What? Slipper ground?
Sorry, slippery. Slippery ground does not recognize a king. Slippery ground does not recognize a king. Secular Solomon, Dan.
Well, I'm going to say that is a secular type of a bit of wisdom. And it just doesn't care if you're a king or a pauper. It's going to bring you down.
You were going to use this banana peel time.
That's right. It's got to have someone with monkeys that throw banana peels. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go. They're going to throw me off on this. I'm going to say Afghanistan.
Dan's out of practice. we haven't done the game in a while. He just doesn't have the countries at the ready. I can see you spinning a globe in your mind.
I am.
And it always lands on the Middle East.
Yeah. Slippery ground does not recognize a king. Secular Solomon. Mike.
That feels like Solomon to me.
Mike says, hey, it's not relevant who you are. Everyone, the rain falls on the just and unjust alike, and I don't care who you are, you'll slip.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so first source of contention, the answer is secular. Kenya.
Dang it.
Secular
Kenya.
Kenya.
See, I already used Kenya. I couldn't use them again.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't think that's a legit rule, Dan.
Oh.
I think.
And once again, not
It's
a
not like
place
the
that sees a
matching
ton of rain.
Yeah. Again, maybe they just have it on the mind.
Yeah.
They're thinking about it all the time. All right. Secular or Solomon, whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner, but blessed is he who is generous to the poor. Mike.
The heck? Those seem like two different thoughts shoved together. Secular.
Mike says secular. Dan, whoever despise. Oh, wait, what country?
Who does a lot of sinning? Hold on. Costa Rica.
Yeah, that's dead on. Mike says Costa Rica. Dan, whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner, but blessed is he who is generous to the poor.
I think about the only people out there calling people sinners as God, so I'm gonna go with secular. I mean sinner. I mean, my goodness.
Oh boy,
it's getting late. Who is that guy? Solomon.
Dan's acting like a real Costa Rican over there.
I'm going on vacation soon.
Solomon. So if you despise your neighbor, so remember we think about the word sinner, like it means missing the mark. So whoever despises his neighbor misses the mark. But the blessed man is he who is generous to the poor, and that is Solomon. Proverbs 14:21.
What if my neighbor is not poor? It seems that doesn't it sound like two separate thoughts put together?
Yeah, I do
Most
find
Proverbs are though. Yeah.
I do find that the Proverbs are not always telling, like, again, a direct yin yang. It's just like these are two options in the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, these are two things I thought of.
It could be this or that.
And like, so if you took them individually, blessed is he who is generous to the poor, and whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner. You're like, oh, okay. I just don't know why you tied these two cats' tails together.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But that's what he did. He tied them together, set them on fire, let them run. Secular or Solomon, a slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Secular or Solomon, Mike.
First of all, is it a sin? And let's put me at a pastor level. If I decided to start nicknaming somebody old slack hand,
No.
because I feel like I want to totally call somebody that.
Yeah, that's
at
not
work.
That's not coarse.
Like, oh, look, here come old slack hand. He ain't gonna do nothing.
I mean, it's unnecessary. You may be despising your neighbor.
That's the problem I'm worried about. What if it's a guy I really like and I'm being in jest? Like, he's obviously not a slack hand.
I think it's all right when you have close relationships. Just like I think it's all right to say the random coarse thing to your wife. Sue me.
Yeah. Fight me. Okay, yeah, that's definitely Solomon. What was the?
I don't mean like cruelly to your wife. I mean just you would share it with your wife.
Yeah. No, that's Solomon.
Okay.
Solomon calls people slack hand.
Okay, Dan. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich.
Yeah, that's a Solomon 18:2.
Okay, Dan says Solomon 18:2.
The Proverbs.
It's not there. Okay, there we go. Proverbs 18:2. It is Solomon. Proverbs 10:4.
10-4.
It's the old good buddy verse.
Yeah. Listen here, old slack hand.
Buddy.
All right. Secular or Solomon, the bear and the bear hunter have different opinions. The bear and the bear hunter have different opinions. Secular or Solomon, Dan?
That is a secular Canadian proverb.
Said it's a problem in Canada.
Did they spell bear differently for the hunter? Or was it?
No. They're both the animal. Yeah. Surprising, it's the bear hunter who's against the socialized medicine in Canada. That's where the disagreement comes from.
I'm going secular in Scandinavia.
Ooh.
Are they still a country?
Yeah. Mike thinks it's coming from.
Does Russia own them yet?
No.
All right.
He thinks it's coming from Northwest Europe.
Yeah.
All right. The bear and the bear hunter have different opinions. Secular or Solomon, the answer is secular Norway.
Yeah.
I mean, right next door.
Talk to me, friends.
Wow.
Talk to me. Do I know the world or don't I?
Yeah. Here we go. Last one. Here we go. Secular or Solomon, hunger is the best sauce. Hunger is the best sauce. This seems like an unhelpful proverb. Hopefully it's not the scripture. Secular or Solomon, Mike.
Okay, that's Solomon. That's secular. Solomon don't talk about no sauce.
No.
He's got a hold of the Dans.
No, that's a secular for sure. And Holland. Denmark. Hollandaise.
You say Hollandaise.
Yeah.
That's what you're going. Okay.
Denmark.
Hey, okay. Slight conflux of some of the things we've been talking about. So, like, I work in supplementary insurance business, and like one of the things that we offer is short-term disability products. And unfortunately, the acronym is STD. And so every once in a while, I'll be there talking, just flying this term around, and like I will use it in a way totally unintended, and people will have a guffaw at my expense. And that's unfortunate. I said, can't we do it like temporary disability? Like change it a little bit, but I couldn't get anybody to change it.
No, they're stuck with the STD acronym.
Yeah, we got 300 gonorrhea claims today. All right, Dan Hudson, hunger is the best sauce. Secular Solomon.
Well, that is a secular proverb from the People's Republic of China.
Okay. Dan says it's Chinese.
They like the sauce.
They said if you are hungry, I don't even know what this is supposed to mean.
Uh-uh.
And they mock people who are dying of starvation. So
it took a real turn there, is what it did. And they ate their own cat. Hunger is the best sauce. Secular Rome. Yeah, I blame the Pope. He's close to that area. He's supposed to straighten this right out. That's his fault. All right, hey man, you were hanging out at what is debatably America's fastest growing internet game show, Secular versus Solomon.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed the game, first of all, if you played along at the home game, Mike, if they got how many points they get per question that they got right?
72.
72 points for every right. How many? What's the deduction if you get it wrong?
Well, if you're over the age of 40 and live in Pleasantville, you get a positive 10 points for every wrong answer.
Okay. Outside
of those parameters, it's a negative 43.
Oh, man, that's really unfortunate. It seems imbalanced the way that you've set up the scoring system.
I've won again.
Well, that's unfortunate. So if you want to text me your score to that Live from the Path complaint line, 515-517-0085, I just want to hear how you did. If you enjoyed the game, we do play it every once in a while. If you go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/live from the path, just do a search for us. Just do Solomon, and you'll find some clips from other people we've played Secular versus Solomon with. Now, here's the deal. We've been playing this game for nigh on a decade, and so it becomes more and more difficult to find proverbs that we haven't done, especially scriptural proverbs. And so we might be tapping the barrel here. But if you want to brush up on your proverbs without committing to daily Bible reading, which you shouldn't, but let's just say that's who you are and where you're at, you can check out Secular versus Solomon and see how life runs you. All right, here we go, Mike. We need the world needs some advice.
Here, live from the path.
I didn't see that coming like that.
My husband quotes Alex and I are close friends with another couple who live out of state. During a virtual happy hour, Our friend, quotes Darlene, advised us that her brother Roy is moving to our area, and she suggested we become friends. She assumed my husband likes Roy. My husband answered honestly and said he doesn't particularly like Roy. When Darlene pressed the matter, wanting to know why, Alex again answered honestly. He said he thinks Roy's kind of obnoxious. We have spent time with Darlene's family and generally enjoy them, but we wouldn't seek out a relationship with Roy. It does not mean Alex hates him. When my husband made the comment, she didn't respond or seem upset. I texted her to apologize, and she replied, "No need to apologize. I just didn't know Alex didn't like Roy." 2 weeks later, she confronted me about it. She said my husband was rude, and her brother had done nothing to him to deserve being called obnoxious, adding that Roy is a great person. We went back and forth, and I gave her a couple of days' break from communication because she was clearly upset.
Yeah.
We revisited the issue today, and she's still mad. She is not upset with me, though. I suggested she reach out to my husband, but she believes that he should reach out to her. Truthfully, I don't think my husband did anything wrong, although he could have been more diplomatic. What do you think? What?
I think you need to just get out of the middle of it.
Yeah, I don't. Hi, you should be friends with this guy. I don't want to. Okay. Like what?
Yeah. What
Here's the thing. It's like, do I appreciate someone that pumps out insta honesty? Yeah, I usually do. In these type of situations, though, I feel like someone said, "Hey, so-and-so's moving to town. You should probably reach out to him." You're like, "Yeah, maybe." That's how I would answer. Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
See what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But it sounds like they've met already, though.
Yeah, and Roy's a bit on the...
You don't care for him.
he's a stubborn gas side.
That's an odd request.
Is it?
Become friends with was it the brother, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, if let's say my brother was moving to somebody's town that I knew, I'm like, "Hey, my brother's moving to town. He don't know anybody. Maybe you guys should hook up and, go out to dinner sometime."
Well, yeah, but
Is that a weird position to put somebody
yes,
in?
yeah.
Okay.
You don't match make friends with your incoming town brother. Now, if you want to throw a soiree or a shindig and invite the brother and have him help him make friends, that seems all right. But like, no, I didn't ask to speed date your relatives when they come in to try to move to town. No.
Yeah, but they come from the same fold as me, and we get along just fine. You should like him.
I mean, do you think that's what it is? You think she's personally offended because she either likes her brother?
She likes him.
Or
it's her
feels,
brother.
I mean, that's not.
My
a
brother's
good,
coming to town. What do you say?
Yeah.
What do you say? What do you say?
Water.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she's up to the defense.
That's right. You don't like Roy. You don't like me. We're the same cut.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would call like a pastor friend and say, "Hey, my brother's moving to town. I hope he'll come. I've told him to come visit your church."
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say like go call him because that puts him in an awkward place.
Right. Yeah. Maybe she thought there was a clear path there because they'd met, but like, now, do you think she's overselling it just because she doesn't want to with Roy? She's trying to pawn him off on other people.
Now she's taking it to extremes, though. Now she's creating rifts in her other relationships just so she can create a rift with Roy. That don't make no sense. Either she's self-destructive or this is a dumb plan.
Now, she could have played it and said, "Hey, send me about $100. I'll take him to a ball game."
Yeah.
I wonder how many relationship things can be solved with the phrase, either you're self-destructive or this is a dumb plan. I feel like that covers a lot of situations.
Here's what I know. I mean, like, you got to realize you did put somebody on the spot.
Yeah.
And, like, she did press further. It's like, "Hey, you should be friends with Roy." Well, I don't know. I wouldn't have never answered this way. I think I would have gone way more polite than that. Like, well, we'll see. I guess we'll see when he gets into town.
Well, can I tell him to call you?
Yeah, and then I would have just I would have not had time because I don't have time for friends right now.
Yeah, I don't understand this obfuscation you're putting on, Mike.
I'm just telling you what I would have done. I'm not saying whether it's the gospel. I'm just saying it's what I would have done. I say maybe to all kinds of stuff. I know the answer is no. Ask my kids.
Yeah.
Can I have ice cream? Maybe. That's no. Kids hate when I do that.
Why do we do that? I did that too. and they know. They're smart.
Yeah, they're not dumb.
It's like, just say no. It's like, but then I don't have to fight it.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
I kind of want ice cream too.
It's like, maybe. No, I said maybe.
That's a good idea. I'll have that when you go to bed.
There's only enough left for me.
Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so what's the advice here? Well, like, what was the question? Am I overreacting? Or should it?
I don't think my husband did anything wrong, although he could have been more diplomatic.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Now hold on. You stop right there, Haas.
Uh-huh.
You tell me that you don't like my maybe answer. What's the more diplomatic way? Oh, yeah, the chair don't seem so high now, does it? Old Mike and his crappy maybes. And over here, man of the people got nothing to say.
Let's see. So,
Here's
like,
how I would handle it. Not the way you would. Tut, tut, tut.
I think
Jerk.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
I came in with a solid answer. I'm batting 350 solid, and you're swinging for the fences, telling me I'm in Buntsville. This is a bunch of crap. Maybe is the right answer.
I don't know. Wait, okay, so is your position is don't tell the truth.
It's not the untruth. Maybe I will get along with him. Maybe he calls and I happen to have an extra, and I'll be like, I'll fall on the sword and go have lunch with the guy, and we hit it off in a different area. Maybe it's the right answer. I can't read the future. Maybe we're gonna get along.
Hey, will you give the eulogy at my husband's funeral? I can't read the future.
Yeah, maybe. That's the way I would answer.
We'll see how the day rolls, you know?
Yeah, especially for something not tomorrow. If it ain't tomorrow, my answer's maybe.
Okay, got it. Yeah, okay, so here's what I would say. I think your husband is, you can't answer that way, and this woman should not be so offended about it.
Yeah.
Like, he has a right to say no. And I think the lady needs to not be so invested. I think as a friend, you can tell her that. If she's not going to take that in, I think you're just going to have to give her time to cool down. And if she wants to deal with your husband about it, then she should.
Now she's mad because the husband won't call and discuss it.
He's not good. I mean, he can do it.
He already said his piece, really.
Yeah, it's like, what else do you want from me?
You don't want to talk to your brother, Chef Roy R.D.
Yeah.
You don't want him in his life.
Yeah, you don't really, like, it's not like I call random people I've had discussions with and go, hey, I was thinking, were you offended by what I might have said? And so I would just thought maybe I'd offer my apologies or clarifications. Like, if I said the thing I intended to say, unless they mentioned it to me, I don't just randomly solicit whether there was a problem. That would be weird. I mean, although she's like, expects that the wife is going to pass it on. But here's the thing. I'm okay with the wife going, no, I'm not. I don't pass notes in class, even to my husband.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to ask him about it, do that. But, like, I don't need to get in the middle of this.
Yeah. I always told my wife when the kids were younger to never ask questions you don't want to have the answer to. And she asked the question, she didn't like the answer. It's like, well, don't ask that question.
Well, yeah, why would you answer that? Yeah.
Let nature take it, let him, just say, hey, my brother's moving to town. Here's his number if you're interested.
Yeah,
and
there
then
you go.
He can do what he wants with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've had that come up recently where it's like, you can't ask a question where there's not a viable right answer.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance to get it right. Or, like, if you frame it as an opinion, but you only accept if they answer your way. That's not fair.
Right.
Like, you can't do that. That's you're inviting a fight.
You're setting them up for anger. Yeah. It's like,
that's right.
Yep.
Don't go around throwing smoke bombs around. There's no reason for it.
Maybe.
Okay, now stop that.
All right. Secular says.
Okay.
Your husband was honest about his feelings, but he should have been more tactful than to accuse Darlene's brother of being, quotes, obnoxious. Still, not a solution. Boy, Ben and Secular are just in the same boat. I hate everybody else's ideas. I got none of my own.
I might have said, what if, like, I don't know if you had to call him obnoxious. I might say, we didn't really get along the last time we got together.
Yeah, I should give it another shot.
Yeah, I'm not so sure I'm interested in that.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe.
That's too much coarse joking.
Okay.
I can't handle it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll have to step down.
He mistook my long flowing locks for feminine and told me coarse jokes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, someone's going to end up at a maybe here. Secular continues. If you and your husband value the relationship you have with her and her husband, then he should reach out to her and apologize for his lack of tact. However, neither of you should allow yourself to be guilted into interacting with Roy against your better judgment. That's right. At the end of the day, no one wants to hang out with Roy.
That's the role of it.
That's the end of it.
That's right. Roy smokes in the park by himself. That's what Roy does.
Okay, ready? Last one?
Now, hold on. Just one final question. I don't think the man has to make the call and apologize. But, like, is there a swallow your pride thing here where, like, you didn't have to, but if you did, it would smooth things out? Is it a thing where you just do it? Like, because it seems the principle of the matter is that he shouldn't have to. But, like, if you knew or felt that otherwise would make things better, couldn't you do it anyway?
Maybe you do it with a couple, maybe 3 or 4 people, and maybe one of those connections will work. So you're helping.
Yeah.
You're being proactive, and maybe my friend Butch likes him better. and they'll just like, hey, yeah, let's do something tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Butch and Roy. That sounds like a group of
I
fellas.
think it'd be great.
Yeah.
It'd be a band.
So like I would say maybe because Jesus says, look, we make peace. We don't just accept it when it comes. Blessed are the peacemakers. That you call this woman and go, hey, look, I didn't mean to be offensive to your brother. Like what I said was true. But I mean, you never know. And so, if it would help, maybe we could arrange some time where we can all get together and Roy can be there. I'll invite some other people over so he's got a chance to maybe make some friends around here. How does that sound? Let's put some effort into making peace as opposed to just waiting for it to show up. I think maybe I'm going to change my advice and say I don't think you have to call on principle, but like let's not hold principle. Go out there and make some peace.
Yeah. Okay, ready? Last one.
Yep.
Dear Life from the Path. Whenever I'm out early for a medical or dental appointment, early church services, whatever, I usually stop at a fast food drive-thru and bring home breakfast.
Yeah.
My neighbor is a single mom who works at home due to the pandemic, and I buy something for her and her son and leave it on her porch. I remember times when I was still working and a coworker would bring in breakfast treats and how much I enjoyed them. My wife has told me to stop because she says my neighbor will think, quotes, I'm a dirty old man. My neighbor and I hardly ever except say hello, and I never give her another thought. What do you think?
I mean, are you otherwise giving off a perv vibe? Like, do you drive slowly by the house and leer in the windows?
And stare out the window, give your house into theirs.
Play with your suspenders while messing with the door lock? Like, I don't know what the...
Twisting your mustache.
So, I mean...
Either your wife knows something that we don't,
Yeah.
or she's wildly overreacting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't... There's all kinds of things that can weird people out. There's things you can do that are totally innocent that like will cause somebody to be weirded out about it. Like this seems real innocuous. I mean, as long as you're not leaving weird notes, I'm maybe it's worth saying something every once in a while, like, hey, just thought I'd do something nice. Hope you guys have a blessed day or something. I don't know, whatever. Something so that it doesn't give a creepy vibe because there's nothing being spoken.
Yeah. I mean, the wife could go to the neighbor's house and say, hey, I hope you appreciate my husband dropping off breakfast.
Yeah.
He thought he just thought it was so cool when people brought him stuff when he was working. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's thinking, and she could give my husband's not being creepy vibe.
Yeah. Or even ask and say, he just really loves to do it. I don't know, if you guys are watching what you eat or
eating
anything. Right. Should we I don't want to
Should I
tell
woo him up? Is he being weird?
Yeah.
I think whatever. I think it's all right to have a hushed conversation to work this out lady to lady if he's being awkward in some way where he just has no idea and thinks he's blessing the pants off of people.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm
That's
all
the
kinds
wrong
of
phrase.
awkward all the time and that I don't have any idea.
Right.
My wife would recognize that kind of stuff.
I've actually always been cautious about that, and probably wrongly so, about like, hey, does it seem presumptuous to show up with something at somebody's house?
Yeah.
Hey, I think you have a need. Like, nobody probably cares, right? But like, I get self-conscious about it, and I always kind of regret that I'm not as bold as I probably could be. Like, what's the worst that someone's gonna do? Thanks for baking a lasagna and bring it over. I hate you. I hate your family.
You've
like,
never once brought me potato salad.
I have not.
I'm just saying. I've noticed.
No, that's okay. Well, shoot, you're right. Maybe the reverse is happening. Yeah, I think I would, if the wife is worried about it, my recommendation is for the wife to just go have a quick chat. And there's all kinds of auspices of which you could fire this conversation up and just check it out. Yeah. Otherwise, let the man go about it.
Yeah. Yeah, this feels weird.
Yeah.
Secular says, when you pick up those breakfasts, do you bring something home for your wife as well? If the answer is no, your wife may be insecure about the attention you are paying to this neighbor. Well, you created a problem that didn't exist, Secular. She didn't say anything about that. Anyway, from my perspective, what you've been doing is a kindness. Done.
Yep, I agree.
I'm okay, so you're okay.
All right, hey, you've been listening to Live from the Path. Maybe you have a burning question. There's a problem in life, and you just can't. It's a Rubik's Cube, an emotional Zentangle, and you don't know what to do about it. Well, we're here to help. You can get a hold of Live from the Path. Use the Live from the Path Bob Eisenhower complaint line, 515-517-0085. We will untwist those knots, set that rope right, and set you on your way into the horizon.
What?
I'm just letting it all soak in. You're welcome. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it. Get a hold of us if you want to on the line. Hey, we really do. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate when you guys use the complaint line, even if it's not a complaint, even if you're saying weird things like, hey guys, I appreciate the show. it's encouraging to us. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. We do appreciate it. We will hope to be back with you in the weeks to come. In the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to